My name is Isabel Bongue, and I am a printmaker and a muralist who works with public space. I mean, often I think the first step in my creative process is talking to people. You know, if it's for a public project, I want to talk to people because I want to know how people inhabit a space and, you know, like what those people think, what they feel, what they want to feel when they're in that space. The Glen Echo Bird Tunnel is a mural. It is under a bridge in the Glen Echo Ravine in Clintonville in Columbus, Ohio.
As you can see here, some of the community members asked me to sort of like hide the grandparents' names as a memorial in some of the feathers. So there's one of them. It looks like the other.
It was a really long process. It took me like a year to figure it out how to. I contacted the old artists. I just kept contacting people, and like they were like, hey, we could fundraise to make this happen. Then we repainted the mural. I put out a community preference survey. We had a workshop. Everyone seemed like they wanted birds again. So I painted birds. Nobody's necessarily going to tell you, yes, you should be an artist, you know? And people want to be supportive. But I think there's a lot more people who are going to tell you that you can't do it than you can. And at the same time, it's really impossible to be an artist without support. So I think it becomes really, really important to cultivate those friendships and those working relationships with people who are doing what you want to be doing. Because you can't necessarily just expect that from your family or your community without cultivating it. So the Third Way Cafe mural was done on Third Way Cafe, imagine that, in Hilltop. It's a pretty cool little coffee shop and community space.
My name is Tim Rush. I'm the co-founder and manager of Third Way Coffee House here in the Hilltop. Yeah, so I first came into contact with Isa. She had reached out to do a mural on our building a while back, and I called her on the phone, and like her energy was unreal. Like she just, blah, 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 I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, okay, let's go.
And so this felt like the first project, and then I really had like this space to do what I wanted to do, which was awesome. So thank you to Tim for that. It's a girl sitting on a bunch of books, and she's got this sort of like dark cloud owl bird creature like hanging over her, and it's sort of a protective figure but also sort of an oppressive figure.
We've seen kids come up, take pictures with it, just look at it, understand that they can do something, right? More than what's, you know, ordinary, right? Or what's expected. They can kind of follow their dreams.
And for me, I think it spoke, I think that the girl that I painted was me. And then I think it spoke a lot to like sort of like how much I used to find sort of refuge and escape in books and in fantasy when I was a child. I think that there's something like very powerful about like the collaborative creation of a piece. I think that free flow of ideas is really important. So when I'm working on collaborative projects, when I really feel that things are flowing, it's when everyone has ideas and they're bouncing them off each other, and you know, you're creating something that one person couldn't just come up with. It's something that's a product of a bunch of different people, you know, like sort of like mixing bits of themselves together. This is where the Maya well mural that caused so much controversy was. Maya Wen is a mural that was painted for 934 Galleries 934 Fest. And I painted that mural in collaboration with Kat Ramos and Brenda Munoz. I'm Colombian American. All of us who worked on that mural have Central or South American backgrounds. And as an adult, having the chance to talk with other people who had immigrant parents or different cultural experiences in some way, and just realizing how many things we have in common and how much that's its own story. My Columbus is a couple different things. My Columbus is the other artists who I know and work with who inspire me and who teach me things and who push me to make art. And as I said, I think public art is a process, not a product. I think in terms of like social justice and having people just have interactions with people who are just different from themselves so that they learn how to be just like functional human beings in a diverse community. I think that's important too. And I think that, like creating engaging public spaces is a step towards that. And by engaging like dialogue and signs of life and things that make you like feel and think, but also like being in that space.